Tom Devlin.
John Ward.
That's me. That's you. Here we are again on another episode, on your fourth time, I think, on One Filmmaker, One Film. Yay! And
you need a studio audience applause there.
There, there is with StreamYard. I don't know if it's free or not, but there is applause in here. So yeah, or I could add it in. Yeah, that's true. I asked you to come back onto One Filmmaker, and thank you everybody for joining us. Because I saw your film. I saw Bloody Bluff. I want to say Bloody Bluff. And I found it to be very interesting. And the more that I thought of it, I'm like, I need to ask Tom to come back on another One Filmmaker, even though you weren't on that long ago. Because I want to find...
When you sent me that message, it said, would you be interested in doing another One Filmmaker, specifically on Bloody Bluff? I really enjoyed the screening, but the time away from it, I keep thinking about that movie. And that just made like the fuzzies happen, because that's why we make movies, to make people think about them, And you said something where you said, I think it might be your most ambitious film. I disagree, but I think that that you think that means that we put this one over right,
Well, yeah, because it's so I knew it was Sasquatch, so I took it that it was going to be Night of the Demon, or it was going to be people go camping in the woods and Sasquatch kills them and rips their penises off or something like that. And it wasn't. And that's why I thought, I also thought the movie was longer. So when I originally saw it, I'm like, this is very epic and big. This is like a 2-hour movie. And then you sent me the link to watch it, and I'm like,
85 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's like,
no, it's shorter. It's like,
no, it's
65 minutes.
Yeah, it's 1 hour and 6 minutes. And
yeah,
I'm like, that can't be right. I'm like, there's no way that could be right. So I went to the end of the movie, and there's credits, and I'm like, this can't be the movie that I saw, because this is too short. Maybe Tom sent me the wrong link. Maybe this isn't finished or something. And then I watched it, and I think it was even more finished from when I had originally seen it, because there was definitely stuff in there I don't remember. And I'm like, I'm glad that I'm interviewing you today, for One Filmmaker, because then I can go back to the original, how I originally set up One Filmmaker, which was just
to talk about one film, not a career.
Exactly. And so that's why I wanted you on, because it's like, I'm looking at this going, this is not a Tom Devlin movie. This is not Plan 10. This doesn't feel like Teddy or Frankenstein or any of this other stuff. This is bigger, grander. And
I love to hear that. I love to hear that, because to me, this is one of the smallest ones we've done. In a lot of respects, it's certainly one of the cheapest ones I've ever done. I made this movie for $3,000, and I mean, we shot it in 5 days, and it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of hard work. It's just crazy, because that scope that you see and feel, that's the goal. When you're making a Sasquatch movie in the woods, it's also a period piece. That's the goal, to make you feel like we had a budget and some time and planning. But this is just a film that we cut together on the skin of our teeth, and it was a very run and gun production, and we had actors we had to replace at the last minute because of health issues, and just, I mean, it was very difficult. A lot of line reading. You've been around my sets. A lot of line reading on set instead of like fully off book memorization.
Yeah, and it's which is a way that I have now put into my films. I like that you do that, and so that I think that that helps the actor out a lot, especially if there's a lot of dialogue.
Oh
And
yeah.
but this was even just rewatching this, like there is one, it's narrated by the main actress, a woman. This is kind of in a way like a woman's point of view in the
Yes.
film, which is rare. It's You even have an animated credits beginning. This is, I don't know, man. You say this is smaller than what I think, but I think this is pretty big. So why like a woman's kind of point of view from it? What perspective?
Well, my two inspirations for making it a period piece was Sleepy Hollow, and also I'm going to get this wrong. Correct me. 1883, the prequels to Yellowstone.
I think it's 1883. Yeah.
1883. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's all narrated by a female who is going through this journey. It's beautiful. Her voice, it's a really cool element to this rough and tumble, disgusting time in America. It's like this beautiful tomboy girl just kind of like taking lead. But also Christina Ricci's character in Sleepy Hollow, although the movie's about Ichabod and Johnny Depp, it's not, you know. So I don't know. I always loved Nancy and Nightmare on Elm Street, and that female kind of driven. A lot of my movies are kind of female driven. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then I don't know. I like it. And Ashley is a fantastic actress.
Yeah, I thought everybody did a good job in this, and it because I just watched on Netflix American Primeval.
Oh
and,
yeah. Oh,
which
that's
is
brutal.
Yeah, Peter Berg, you know, and I took an interest in it because it dealt with like the Mormons when they were going around massacring people, and so when I rewatched Bloody Bluff, that I'm like, oh, that's also from a woman's point of view, which is, you know, American Primeval is also that way, and I'm like, and not that it hasn't been. I mean, you always have the final girl and the main actress and stuff like that, but for these films that take place at a particular period in time, it's normally a guy that it's, you know, if you look at Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. Yeah, sure.
It was also, it could, not a conscious effort, but a contributing aspect is my wife wrote the script. So that's a little bit of her in there. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. I could see that totally. Yeah. And I was going to ask this since you brought her up. I was going to ask it later, but I can ask it now. How do you guys decide who writes the scripts for these? Because you're now on multiple movies. She seems to be probably like the main writer.
She's my first choice. She's my first choice always as a writer. She's my first choice as a writer, first choice as an editor, first choice as a sound designer in post. But I burn her out like a lot. Like I have a lot of ideas and I'm always working on a script. I'm always working on something. So my old roommate, Josh Cornell, steps in. He's a very skilled writer. Him and Lola have known each other for so long. Like on the After Dark, I wrote the rough draft. She wrote the half through the polished draft and really finished it up. And then he took it and finished it because the three of us have worked together for so long. He wrote some of the movies she directed, and we know each other so well. So Josh is he's very fast. He's very efficient. He takes notes with no argument or like I mean, he'll stand up for why he did something in a script, but if I say absolutely not, I need them to be, you know, doing this, yeah, sure, your movie, your script. And I'd like to imagine that the day that we ever hit it big and one of these catches fire, I can somehow compensate both Lola and Josh for their efforts. But the choices that they'll do it for free right now. For me, with us, with Plan 10, like Josh isn't going to just write anybody's movie, but he's working towards something with me. And the same thing with Lola. Like, she doesn't edit for other people. She will not do sound design for someone else, but she is the best. She's so good, so knowledgeable at filmmaking that she's always my first choice. I just burn her out. Like, so I have to be careful. Sometimes if it's not something we're super passionate about, or like, I don't want to say they're not passionate about, because I'm passionate about all of them. But like Slaughterhouse on the Hill, I wrote that script. I'm not a writer. And that script needed 15 more pages. And that script needed a little something else. We made up for it in fun and camp and good times in the movie. But, you know, I'm not a writer. I just have ideas, you know, and try to put it together.
Do you, as a male director, do you ever look at Lola's work as a female writer and go, oh no,
no. In fact, the opposite. Like on the After Dark, I was so insistent, and this is where I burnt her out on that script, because the After Dark is a vampire movie. I know we're supposed to stick to Bloody Bluff, and I'll get back to it.
Oh no,
but I wanted that Romeo and Juliet. I wanted that the story of Beth in the After Dark, which it centers around, is Lola. Like, to me, that's Lola. That's when I met her. She was this, I don't want to say naive, but she was green to the world of like do-it-yourself, independent punk rock. I'm going to show you good times every day of our life. We are going to live the best day. We're going to make our own movies. Fuck the man. We don't have to deal. She's a USC film school graduate. She learned a whole nother way of building a career. And it was the school of trauma. I was like, no, we're going to make her first movie she directed was called Legend of the Sasquatch. I said, we'll put our own money into it. We'll get our own cameras and we'll make this movie ourselves. That was so green to her and naive. Like, she didn't know you could just make your own damn movie. So she read the Robert Rodriguez book, Rebel Without a Crew. And the next thing you know, we're making a movie in the desert by ourselves with no toilets. Like, it was amazing. And that's Beth in the After Dark. Like, she didn't know of that world that the Lobos were. She didn't know the like party all day, sleep all day, party all night mentality. She was with this stuffy upper echelon vampires that had rules and things that they had to follow. So to me, between that like woman's like discovery, and also I love Dawson's Creek, and I love like chick flicky type movies. Like, I have a very, I mean, Can't Hardly Wait. I guess that's a party movie. But like 10 Things I Hate About You, or those like chick flicks. I love, one of my favorite movies of all time is Fool's Gold. And I'm a sucker for anything Matthew McConaughey's in, you know, and I love chick flicks. And so finding that like Buffy the Vampire Slayer voice that she has, that's fun for me. So I want to make those movies.
Do you think if you flipped this and made it the younger man searching for the younger brother with women going out and hunting the Sasquatch, flipping it, do you think it would work?
I think it'd be unique and interesting. With a good cast, and I think, that could totally work. Totally work.
Okay.
I don't know if it fits the time period. I don't know. Back then, I don't know that. I mean, that would be the plot line, right? Like these women are going against everything they're supposed to do to go, you know, it's very rare for them to pick up the pieces and pick up the guns back then, in my mind. Maybe not.
They would have to be rough and tough chicks like that. What is that movie? Bad Girls with like Drew Barrymore.
I love Bad Girls with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, it'd have to be like that.
Movie. Man, that brings me
but
back.
your film is perfect as it is, so no reason to change.
I don't know about perfect, but it's fun. You know, there's definitely some flaws.
And who thought of the animated like titles. Those looked really
That,
good.
that was Lola, and I wasn't against it. I just didn't know how we were going to pull it off, and she was able to do some really simple stuff and make it work. So, I love it. I love the opening titles. But that was like at the very end. I think the premiere was already scheduled, and we were just like, it needs something at the beginning. It just started in this bar scene that didn't. There's no, other than putting some text, there was no like intro that this is a period piece. It just started in this weird saloon, and it needed some jazz at the beginning, and the opening credits sound like it works. You know, it sounded like it grabbed you, and that helps. But it also made me realize we're missing dogs and horses. Back then, in every photo and every painting you could find, there's dogs and horses, and we should have had some dogs and horses in the hunting party, even if it was just for a scene and they disappeared and it's like Sasquatch got them, you know?
Oh yeah, because he needs food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I didn't even think about that, but yeah. I mean, just adds to production value.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody has to own a dog, even if it's a pool.
Yeah, they should have had some hunting dogs. I have a dog. Could have done it, but yeah.
Well, that's for
Live and learn. Yep.
You know.
I would like
So
the sequel to jump decades. Like if I make sequels, I want it to be like, so we've done the period one, and now you got that. Well, I guess spoilers are fine. Hopefully they've seen it. We leave remnants of the Sasquatch there for people to find. Like, so maybe in the 70s, there's a bunch of dudes on a van run, and they all getting stoned and partying in the woods. Maybe some Hell's Angels type folks or something, and then they chop into that tree for firewood, and the next thing you know, they're fighting Sasquatch. And then we jump to the 80s or the 90s, and then to the 2000s, and maybe in the future, like Jason X or something.
Okay, so you want to do a few of these then?
What I love about it is I would always love to shoot up at Mount Charleston in the summertime in Vegas, because we shot this in July, I think, or was it June or July? I don't know. But it was it was summer. It was 115 degrees down here, but up there it was like a brisk 70 degrees, you know?
Yeah, you can, because they're walking around late at night and they're sleeping on the ground, but they don't really have jackets or anything on. So I'm like, oh, it must be pretty warm up there then.
Yeah, we forgot they didn't have any kind of rucksacks or bedding. They had nothing. So we threw in some lines about like, I don't know, somehow to describe that they left with nothing but some guns. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because the one guy is like, we got, well, to let people know, it's two women at the beginning. One of them older. She's the one in the picture here. She's by a tree reading a book. There's a younger sister. She wants to go pick flowers and things, and she kind of wanders off. Our lead falls asleep, and she can't find the sister. So she goes to the mother. The mother breaks down, goes to a bar. And there's a lot of people in this bar, including these gentlemen here. And she's like, you got to help me. And this is where you explain that they didn't take anything with them, because the one guy is, we got to leave now. We're going to leave right now. Not the morning. We got to leave now. Yeah. And so they go off and hunt for they try to find the little sister, while the legend of the Bluff is out there.
Yeah.
And so it kind of goes on, from there. But it's I thought that you took some very interesting directions in these. I'm not going to say who it is, but you do kill somebody in this that you would not normally kill these days in a movie.
Oh yeah.
And,
right out the gate.
Yeah, so it's and the way that we see this, it actually kind of made me laugh in a way, because it's so just dump,
blunt.
Just like, I don't care, just throw away, and so I thought that was very funny, And of course, can I show the Sasquatch now this early?
Yeah, you're welcome to show it off. The thing is with these little movies, the things that sell it for me are the monsters. That's why someone's going to watch my movie, because the monster guy made a monster movie. The Sasquatch I actually didn't create completely. My friend Waleed, who works with me, he sculpted. This was one of his early sculptures as like a head guy sculpting. So he sculpted the face of the creature. I believe he made the molds too, and then I ran the film and put it all together, painted it, did all the hair work and all that. But that is a monster played by Steve Hansen. And then also in the film, Chris Arredondo plays the monster as well. So they shared duties.
So now, is this a Sasquatch or is this a Bigfoot?
Define the difference of a Sasquatch and a Bigfoot.
I know, I guess terrain, different places call them different things.
Yeah, I would say that it's in the family of. I would call him Bigfoot, but if we made the 80s sequel, they would obviously call him a Bigfoot. Back then I just have them call him the Beast. They never call him a Sasquatch. He's a beast of Bloody Bluff, because they don't know what this thing is. But yeah, that's Jack Link's angry cousin from centuries ago.
Okay, all right, because you don't want to miss name him these days, because
no, it's true.
I mean, it could be a she also.
Ours, I believe he's a male. I believe this one is a male. In the story, in the movie, it's not. It was my intention to allude that it might not just be one, that there might be several of these monsters. Some of that got lost in editing, quite a bit of it actually. I was going to put another part at the end credits where one comes back in, similar to like Harry and the Hendersons. We did that in our movie Legend of the Sasquatch. And when we made Sasquatch, this is back in like 2004, 2005. I made a movie called Legend of the Sasquatch. A cryptozoology group online went nuts and just thought we were making fun of their lore, and that there was, it was so disrespectful and this and that. And I thought that was hysterical because it was clearly a movie. But now, if you Google search the word Sasquatch, like there's all kinds of stuff called Sasquatches. I believe that I created the word Sasquatch. But I love Bigfoot, man, and I love Sasquatch. Always wanted to make a Sasquatch movie, and that's what this got to be,
Yeah, I love Bigfoot, Abominable Snowman, Sasquatch, all that stuff. Legend of Boggy Creek terrified me as a kid.
If you notice, the bar that they go to is called the Boggy Creek Tavern.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. All right.
Yeah. And also it's the widow Henderson whose husband Harold has passed away, which is my throwback to Harry and the Henderson. Oh. There's a lot of Sasquatch humor. Part of the witch is when there is a witch. Spoiler. When the witch is speaking her like weird tongues while she's making spells, she mentions the Takawakakua, which is what we called the Sasquatch in Legend of the Sasquatch.
So I want to go back to just for one moment here, because I remember at the screening you were discussing this. Oh, the picture's a little blurry. I'm sorry. The young girl here on the left, and you had a kind of like a fundraiser for her. So I kind of wanted to talk about that here, so people would know about it. Can you explain a little bit about her?
Yeah. So that's Leighton Lawrence, and this is her first movie. So that the two of them, that's Leighton and Ashley Ballou. Ashley Ballou's been in several of my movies, but Leighton Lawrence, this is her first movie ever, and it was so adorable. This role was written for my daughter, and my daughter Lily was in Teddy Told Me To, and she hasn't been in many of my movies since. And so I said, hey, we wrote her this part, and we had actually already bought the outfit for Lily, and Lily came home from school one day with a manila envelope, and this little girl, Leighton, I've known her whole life since preschool, and they're 12 now. So I get this envelope, and inside is a headshot, a resume that's like all of her little school theater productions and stuff she's done with her church and things. And then it's a a note that was like, I would really love to be in one of your movies. And I asked Lily to hand deliver this. It was so cute and so professional. Like, I know Leighton and I know her dad and her mom really well. Like, I spend time with their family. She could have just had her dad ask, you know, can Leighton be in your movie? She could have, there's so many different kid approaches, but to hand me a manila envelope with a headshot and a resume, I was like, I would love for her to be in the movie, but I only have one role for a kid and I wrote it for you. And Lily goes, she can have my role, Dad. I don't even want to be in the movie.
Oh.
And I know that that's not true, but I know John, you know me well enough off the air that I pride myself in giving people like a moment. Like, I love to give somebody their dream. If it's your dream to be in a movie with so and so, I'm gonna make sure I can make that happen. Like, anything I can do. Actually, this movie is a perfect example. Ashley Ballou became an effects artist because she loved the show Face Off, which I was on. But Ashley loves Mackenzie Westmore. And because of that, I called Mackenzie and asked her to be the mom in our movie, who was the host on the TV show Face Off, and is part of the Westmore family, which is a dynasty of makeup. So Ashley's mom in the movie, she was so excited. She couldn't even contain herself because she's such a huge fan of Mackenzie. So I saw my daughter doing that. My daughter was giving Leighton the role because she knows it would mean more to her than anything to be in a real feature film, you know, and end up on Tubi and be, you know, on IMDb. And that's a big deal. So I gave Leighton the role. I didn't need an audition. I've seen her act on every play that they've ever been in growing up. And she killed it. She was wonderful and angelic, and she took direction. She came completely off book, knew all of her lines. She was wonderful to work with. After shooting, you know, we're editing for like a year. We were really trying to get this movie done for the Sin City Horror Fest to premiere it because Leighton's family is awesome. I know her grandpa, her aunts and uncles. I know both sides of her family. And I was like, they'll all get to see her on the big screen, you know, like that's a huge thing. Well, in October, right before we finished editing, we were done editing. We were just doing title sequences. Leighton was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And it wasn't just a little tumor. It was like the size of a softball. And she got medevac to Salt Lake City, where there's a surgeon, the only surgeon in the world that could do this surgery. And he got through it, 10 hours of surgery, removed, they call her Tallulah, the tumor. That tumor is so rare and weird, they've sent it off for testing to try to understand it. Genetically, she's not susceptible to tumors, hereditarily or whatever, and nobody really knows why, but this tumor's probably been growing since she was very young, for at least 7 years. So you would never know it. I mean, she just one day started losing motor skills. And because of removing that tumor, she's got to relearn how to walk and talk and move her face. And there's a lot. I mean, it's a long road to recovery. But she came home from the hospital the week before Christmas. She was there for 3 months. She was in the hospital. She came home. She was in a wheelchair, but they came out to the Grinch Day at the Monster Museum, and I saw her stand up out of the wheelchair, and she was playing like in the arcade. I could, you know, the physical therapy's working, and she's gonna make a miraculous recovery. So we were raising money for her, and we still are. Everybody in town is, because the expense they racked up that 3 months in the hospital was insane. The surgery she went under was insane, but she pulled through, and she's a champion. And I do believe this won't be her last feature film. I think she'll go on to be a huge star because it's always been her dream to be a star of stage or television, or, you know, she's wonderful. And to have her feature film debut in my movie is something I believe is special. I think she will become somebody, you know.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's awful, then great, and it's wonderful that you and everybody in your area is, you know, contributing to her and that's why I wanted to.
I mean,
highlight her.
I believe all things happen for a reason, and this is going to make her never take a day for granted in her life. And I do think that her goals will just soar to the sky. And, you know, maybe she doesn't become an actress. Maybe she becomes a brain surgeon that saves little girls' lives like hers. You know, who knows? But there's something special there. There's always been a twinkle in her eye that is special. And I know that this is not going to hold her down. It's just going to make her that much stronger, you know, that much more life skills, more life experience before she even hit 13. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a wild ride to watch the Leighton story. But this is just a piece of the story.
Can you imagine that one day they make a biopic on her, and all of a sudden, Bloody Bluff is in the movie, and some guy is going around and some, you know.
If given the opportunity, my wife could make that movie. She can make it. She's talked about a documentary, like, because we can follow Leighton for the rest of her life, you know, and see where, you know, that documentary could be made in 20 years. After she does find success as a congresswoman or a, you know, whatever it is. I don't think she'll go into politics. I do think that she will continue performing, you know.
Yeah, no, I think that's great, because you tend to you have your regulars that you always work with. You know, Steve Hansen,
You're one of them.
I am one of them. Yes, thank you very much. I'm very proud to be in your films. But you also got, you know, Jason Wallace, you got Matt Osborne, Michael Shields, you got, you know, your dad, Roger, you got all these people.
The Planten family, yeah.
There you go. And then you bring in other people that are, I would say, are kind of fairly new, like Butch Patrick, Ginger Lynn Allen. And then you find, you know, someone like Leighton, and you bring them in, and you stay with them, you work with them, you try to raise money for them, and it goes to show where I think some people would just be like, don't want to deal with this, don't want to at all. You make these people part of your family and continue working with them and try to do the best that you can with them, and they do the best that they can, you know, with you. And I think that's great.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of, you know, it is a family effort. When you're not making millions of dollars and you're not paying people a ton of money or any, you know, it's you always got to pay. You got to pay some of your key players. This is, if it's their job to make money while they're working, I would never ask for them to do it for free. I may ask for them to do it in trade, like I'll trade my services, but I will not, you know, if it's your job. Ginger's not coming out for free. Ginger, this is her life, you know, and same thing, you know, there are certain, it's a case-by-case scenario, but when it is that family element and that, you know, everybody's there because they serve a purpose. Like Jason Wallace is on my movies because he's the most helpful person ever. And he's a great on-screen actor, but he's really good behind the camera as far as like moving lights and dialing things in and running the slate and picking up the slack when there's nobody to do something. If Jason Wallace is not on camera, he's working. He doesn't stop working. And that makes him valuable to me. And because of that, I try to give him every opportunity to do something very cool. He's the one in the middle there with the furry hat, Jacques.
Who knew he was French?
Yeah,
I had no idea that he was French. He must have just been fooling us all with with like an English or American accent.
He is absolutely not French. Man, I think Jason Wallace shit his pants when I asked him if he could do a French accent. The funny thing is Jacques is 100% the hunter from Harry the Hendersons. Harry and the Hendersons, there's a French hunter trapper named Jacques, and that's who I said, Jason, we're going back in time, but I want you to be Jacques.
See, I was seeing it as Prey, the Predator movie, with the French showed up, because he looks like one of those guys, and that even looks like it could be the gun from like Predator 2. Yeah. You know, that so they have
that whole outfit, head to toe, and the gun, which is real, is my buddy Corey Clear, who's my camera guy, he shot this film. He used to do like LARPing, like a reenactment of Revolutionary War stuff, where they would go out and camp, and like those leggings he's wearing, those don't have a crotch in them, like, so you could just pull your skirt up and poop, because and they do it. It was so funny. But that's his, like, that's legitimate Revolutionary War garb. That I think it's Revolutionary War. I could have the time period wrong, but they're like frontiersmen, and they would go out and like really hunt rabbits and skin them and stuff. And yeah.
Well, so okay, I want to get into costumes, but I wanted to bring this in at the beginning. So here's my interpretation of this film. I feel that this is a post-apocalyptic movie, and this is years after the bomb was dropped, and everything has now gone back in time, basically. Where they're using muskets,
yeah, black powder musket.
Yeah, and the Sasquatch is not a Sasquatch. It's a guy who's mutated from the radiation. And that he hunts
the sequel right now.
And we
explain all
women.
Of that, like in Terminator 2. Oh my gosh, this is great. I love that. I love that take. And that helps blend the fact that some of it might not be so period correct.
Well, and so I was thinking this, going, okay, so if this is in the future, they're fighting mutants, there's radiation running around, people are now all kind of diverse because they're meeting up from this destroyed world. They would just pick up costumes or clothing from wherever. They would meet up. So, which kind of now leads me back into the costumes of how did you choose these costumes? Are they period correct, or at least as close as you could get? What went into getting these? Because these look, I would say, especially Jason's, looks really good. Love the swords. I mean, tell me about that.
Jason's is real. Like, that is as real as it gets for the period that we chose, which is colonial times, like that 1883. The rest were all shopped for the most part, or hobbled together from leftover stuff from the After Dark. But it was difficult because I'm trying to do as close to period correct as possible, but at the same time, like, we're on the minuscule budget. So like that dress Ashley's wearing right there cost like $9. I mean, it was really, really cheap. But we just tried to make everything work. The jacket that Greg Dow is wearing, he's the one all the way on the left. He's a magician, and I had bought him a jacket with tails that looks silly and cheap. And he's like, I'm going to bring something and we'll see if it works. It's a little piratey, but I thought it worked,
But he has a sword, so it works.
He has a sword. And that sword, I have like a ton of props at my shop here. So I just had a Civil War sword, and I thought that would work, and yeah, I mean, I just tried to get the costumes as close to period correct as humanly possible. One thing that was very difficult, casting Mackenzie Westmore as the mom, she had just shaved her hair like a pixie cut. And I was like, oh, that's not going to work. This is a period movie. And so she provided a wig for herself that looks so natural. You would never know that it might not be period correct that she has roots showing in that wig, but at the end of the day, that's what we had, standing in front of, you can see the sign right there. It says Boggy Creek Tavern.
That's great.
Yeah. A little Easter egg.
Yeah. That is what I like, is that it's subtle. It's not just thrown in your face. And
the other gold in this photo is Ashley is wearing her makeup set bag because she was doubling as a makeup artist, but she got to do Mackenzie's makeup. And like I said, she was such a fan as a makeup artist of the Westmore family, and specifically Mackenzie. To get to do her makeup was like a life goal. And I live for that. I live for giving people that moment.
So right now she's standing there kind of shaking, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Pinch me. And it took several projects with her to lose that about me, because she moved to Las Vegas to meet me and to work. I was teaching effects and she signed up for a school to go to that school. I ended up leaving the school before her class, like the day before she joined my class. And then she found me outside of the school and we worked together always. I mean, she's my favorite. But it took a little while for me to be like, dude, we're buddies. You don't have to, like, don't get so giddy, you know? But she just appreciates everything that's happening and going for her. She's such a tremendous force of a makeup artist. And yeah, Mackenzie, and that was like cloud nine right there. Ashley was on cloud nine.
Yeah, that is great. So, well, I mean, when you're meeting your heroes, you know, and it could be in person or even like this, like you're going to interview somebody from another country, I mean, it's intimidating. It's very intimidating. You know, what if I say something wrong? You know, completely unintentionally. Maybe.
Oh, I mean, you have been there with working with UA Bull.
Yeah.
You know, you get to talk to your heroes. You get to be, and now no longer are you the fan. You're part of that ethos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and with him, I'm going to be interviewing him again because he has Run coming. Well, Run is out, and then he has Citizen Vigilante coming out, you know, with Armie Hammer. So I'll be talking with him again. So
you get that feeling of like, you remember the first time when it was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And now it gets kind of passe and normal because it's normalized from how, you know, you guys are colleagues now. You're not just a fan. And God, I love giving that to people. I love seeing that happen because it's very rare anymore that I have something like that happen to me. I know so many people. I mean, like you said, Butch Patrick's in the movie for a day because he was camping in my backyard, you know, and I have like a bungalow in my backyard he was staying in. It's like, oh, can you come be in my movie just for one shot, quick, you know? And but like, he's my family, he's my friend. But I remember when I was just like, oh my God, it would be so cool to know him, you know?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Monkees, and this is when all of them were still around. 1986, I was working at a movie theater, and Peter Tork lived in that town. And a friend of mine goes, dude, he called up on the phone. Peter Tork is down there getting coffee right now. And I went down there with cassettes and stuff for him to sign, and he was walking out as I was walking in, and I literally was shaking. And I just, you know, Mr. Tork. And he goes, who? And like, are you Peter Tork? And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, oh, and he goes, oh, I'm kidding with you. I'm Peter. Yeah, you know, how can I help you? And he ended up signing stuff for me, and we talked for a little bit. But it really was that, you know, I don't think it matters what level the person is on, that if you, Drew Marvick, you know, working on one of his films, and Richard Elfman was there. And I'm a massive Oingo Boingo fan. Yeah. And it was just like, oh my God, this is a dream. And he was
so down to earth and so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He was even like, hey, can you give my wife a ride back to the hotel? And it's like, you don't know me at all. Like, you just know I'm a fan. But, you know, and I thought that was awesome. So it's, you know, and I got to meet at your to kind of swing back around, you know, I met at the screening, you know, Ginger Lynn Allen, who, you know, I haven't known, but I've known of her, you know, I know who she is from the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, that's you, you know.
Yeah, the Metallica video and
yeah, everything else.
So much else. But like, man, I love Ginger so much in Devil's Rejects. And I love Ginger in, there's a movie called Bandcamp that she's fantastic in. And is a American Pie Bandcamp. And I put her in my movie Nameless, and we became so tight, so quick, like family, man. It is crazy how this film life has turned into a film family, and she does us favors, but I also do her favors. I mean, we are, it's a synergy. It's synergetic working with these people that, you know, I put them on such a pedestal, but at the end of the day, they're just normal people, and they just want to have a good time and make a good product, you know?
Yeah. And it's all about treating people well and treating them with respect. And
Yeah.
and I think it would be so easy for somebody to come up and be a jerk to Ginger Lynn Allen.
Yeah.
And
it happens. It happens.
Yeah, and it's completely unnecessary all around.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that like she and Butch Patrick and other people can have these kind of second lives in these, in these movies where
Yeah.
they are respected by people who have enjoyed their work,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad that you're working with them still. So, and in the future. So let's talk about the sets. The house that, the mom and daughter are in, the bar that all the patrons are in, the witch house. How did you acquire all of these to film at?
So the house for the family with the piano is my house. I just dressed it to look old timey, but the piano is old. It's like a 100-year-old piano. My wife plays. So we just really dressed the set around it. And actually all the photos in there, that's all like realistic. Those are all family photos from 100 years ago. There's like a crest on the wall. That's my dad's mom's side of the family's crest. And so I just, set dressed it. The bar, the tavern, Boggy Creek, is 100% built in the After Dark Club, the Frankenstein lair, where you got killed and Teddy told me to in the butcher room area. That's the slaughterhouse from Slaughterhouse on the Hill. That one room I've made every movie in. It's that is the room for Plan 10 Studios. So that room is the tavern set, and I built it in a day. I think 2 days maybe. I borrowed some old wine barrels from the auction house down here in Boulder City, and then I just move them around every time we do cover. All the coverage is shot in the same. There's only 2 walls in that tavern, so every shot I'd move the barrels around, move some skulls around, turn the table, and then shoot it, and then turn it all around. Because if you shot the other way, you would just see, garbage. So it's all shot. It's all shot in the same corner. We just kept turning the room, which was time consuming. And then the witch's house is shot in the Monster Museum. The exterior is like my wife made a graphic. It's not real. It's not a physical house. It's just a matte painting, I guess, a digital matte painting. And then once they get in, it's the foyer of the Monster Museum. So the whole witch's dungeon there is in the Monster Museum. And then the only other spot is out in the woods. We were just all over Mount Charleston. We stayed at a campground there that we could walk into the woods. And we made sure that we got 3 spots in the campground that bordered the woods so we wouldn't be bothering anybody. And we just day and night shot out there. Nobody ever bothered us. We got a drone stuck in a tree twice. The first time it was about 50 feet up, and we were able to get some poles and get it down after a day or 2. And then the second time I got that drone stuck up in a 100-foot tree at the very top, the tip top. It touched a branch and just stuck. And I had to have a guy named Joshua from here in Boulder City with the Green Man Tree Service went and climbed that tree 100 feet up to the top and got that. And he couldn't use equipment because of where it was in the woods. It's up in Mount Charleston. You can't just go in there with a box truck, or a bucket truck. So he climbed that tree from the ground. I have some great behind the scenes of it, and got the drone down.
That's funny. How much location, like searching, did you do? How much time did you spend, or did you just say there?
No. So I made a movie called Slaughterhouse on the Hill about 1.5 years ago. That was supposed to be Bloody Bluff. I was supposed to be shooting Bloody Bluff. It was a different script then. It took place in the 80s. And it was I had already location scouted everything. I had the whole thing planned out, like to the T. And then this hurricane happened on the West Coast, which is so rare. and it didn't hurt anything, not in Southern California, nowhere, but all of Mount Charleston was destroyed and the roads were closed and they wouldn't let us film there. So I changed the plans. I wrote Slaughterhouse on the Hill in like 3 days. We shot that movie. I built sets for 2 days and then we shot the movie for 3 days. So that same week I had made Slaughterhouse on the Hill. So a year later, we went back up to Mount Charleston and looked at our locations to see what was damaged and what was still good. And honestly, it looked exactly the same. Not even a tree down that I could tell. So I had already location scouted it. That second location scout, I brought my camera guy, Corey. I brought Kayla, my producer, and I told them everything I wanted to shoot, where I wanted to shoot it. It was so meticulously planned out. There was not like guessing. The only thing that we had a hard time with shooting up on the mountain, there's a lot of things actually. Number one, we were completely off grid with no electricity. So I was banking on generators to charge up the batteries, to keep my solar topped off if there wasn't enough sun, because we had camper trailers. My generator didn't run because of the altitude. The carburetor, the air fuel mixture was off and I couldn't get the generator started. My solar controller got broken on the way up the hill, so I had to get another solar controller. So now the whole time we were up there for 3 days. Any electricity we used came off my 100-watt solar system in my pop-up camper. So charging anybody's phones, charging the camera batteries, the light batteries, because we didn't have any plugs. So that became difficult. There was no reception. So anybody that got lost coming up the hill, or like Greg got in a car wreck and was going to be late, he couldn't tell. Nobody knew where anybody was, and there was absolutely it took an hour to get down the hill to make a phone call. So that was a challenge in itself. But for the most part, everything was really smooth, like with the shooting. Steve, our monster, got altitude sickness real bad, which I did not expect. I didn't see that coming. And he had to leave. He couldn't even stay up on the mountain. And that's when Chris took over as the monster, from the effects artist to the monster. And then just getting bloody and having to wash up, the walking back and hiking up and down that mountain got the best of a lot of people because of the altitude. I didn't feel it like others, but like I know Kayla, she was feeling it. Like she's my AD and my line producer. She was just struggling because of and brain fog sets in when that altitude sickness is happening, and I just didn't see that happen. I didn't know that would happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't think anything like that either.
Yeah, no, a lot of people were dealing with like the light air up there. But I'm kind of a mountain guy. I snowboard and stuff. I ride dirt bike. That was something unexpected and made it very difficult.
Well, I was going to say this picture towards the end, but these are the people you're talking about. So
yeah, that's Kayla right there to my left, and Chris that's Corey right behind me, and yeah, that's everybody. That's the crew.
Yeah, they're all up there dizzy and
yeah, and we're eating very sparsely, and I don't know. It was one of those things. Like the cool thing about camping out and doing it is I had everybody trapped. Like we don't shoot over 12 hours, but we could have. There was times where we shot like 6 hours, then took a long break, and then would go back at night and shoot all night. So it was cool though. I the camaraderie that happens when you're camping out like that, like the campfire stories and the everybody just being in the thick of it together. It was really cool.
So you had mentioned a drone, and I was going to bring this up, so I'm glad that you did. So while watching American Primeval, it's a period piece. It's like the 1800s, which is where your film takes place, is the 1800s. I was watching it going, I'm kind of being taken out of this a little bit by the drones. like it's a period piece. Shouldn't we be more grounded? Like all these shots, and the film looked beautiful and everything, and also beautiful. You guys did a great job with your drone. But what is your take you just made a period piece using a drone. Do you feel that it adds to it, takes away from it? What is your take?
Well, if I was making a huge budget movie, I would never have used that drone. Because of the nature of what I'm making, it adds a production value. And honestly, if I could do this whole movie again, the one difference I would do is I would never do a walking tracking shot. I would have used a drone and walked with them the whole time, because the amount of leaves rustling and noise problems, the audio is unusable anyway. And the shakiness of Corey and the camera, there's no stable. It would have been better to use an iPhone. Like, there's just no stableness to him walking backwards in the woods while these groups. We did a lot of I always got a lot of walking, and I would have used that drone and just kept them at eye level and moved with them, and it would have been so smooth. When we made the movie, I was not proficient in the drone, so Corey would use the drone. And maybe because he's a camera guy, shoulder mount rig camera guy, he didn't choose or opt to use that drone when it might have served a better purpose. But now I did a thing this summer where I went out on the road with Butch and we did all these drive-ins and car shows, and I got very proficient using the drone, and I was just like, this is so easy, so fast, and it looks good immediately. Why wouldn't we use the drone every time somebody's walking without dialogue that's needed? Because it does make a whirring noise that you couldn't get dialogue. But I don't know. I that's the one change. You learn something every time, man. This is my this was my eighth feature film. I'm at 9 now. I would say every time I learn a valuable lesson. Slaughterhouse on the Hill, it was, the script is everything. Dial in that script, man. And on this one, it was, if I'm going to do a tracking shot in the woods, I'm going to use a drone. But if I was doing American Primeval, if I was doing something with $1 million and months to work on, I would use dolly track, like a legitimate dolly track, and even a crane, or not a crane, but like a jib arm or something would be okay. But I agree with you. Technology takes you out of the period.
Do you think that it's more of a cameraman thing, like where they're like, oh, new technology, let's use it, even though it may not be exactly appropriate for the project that's being shot?
No, I think that 9 out of 10 times, I would say the cameraman would make the choice, like mine did, to use a camera first. I think there's a lot of hype involved with like keeping things fresh and sleek and cool, and then you see it works sometimes. Look at 300. 300 is a period piece before camera, right? But man, they did so much cool technology with that like ramp footage and stuff that I don't know. That's why 300 sticks out more than Troy to me, is that camera work, And I think that I think the bureaucracy in the big budget, I think it could just be some executive that's like, no, we got to have drones. You got to put drones in there, and maybe they go with it that way. I mean, it's a stylistic choice, that's for sure. And it's definitely something to have a conversation about. And I remember having that conversation. The reason I used drones was to try to give it a big scope and show that forest, because we're in the forest. We're in a forest, but if we only shot at ground level, it would just look like we're at the park here in Boulder City,
Well, I was watching a documentary, and somebody had pointed out that even in big budget movies, you could tell it's a drone because it doesn't have movement. It doesn't, if it's a helicopter shooting a city, it's got that little movement going, but the drone is completely solid.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned that that's something that kind of takes away from that shot, is that it doesn't give that full realism that if you're watching a Lethal Weapon and the the helicopter's flying up to a building where a girl's about to jump off, it looks very different than if it was a drone flying up to her about to, it has two totally different feelings.
In our film Nameless, we used the drone to like do huge aerials over the desert and the rock. And like the fact that I could do that essentially for free, like we own this DJI, this little drone that is so capable. the fact that I could do that for free, it takes my tiny little movie and makes it look bigger in scope. But the more that the common Joe knows what we're doing, the less impressive it is. You know what I mean? But it is still visually impressive to be able to just be over those trees and, you know, with the voiceover. There's just something there's still something epic about it. I mean, it's not ever going to be what, you know, Lord of the Rings, but it's as close as I can get.
Oh no, to open your film with that shot and then you see the girls walking and stuff makes it very big.
Yeah.
You know, you give the immediate, you know, kind of like visual knowledge of what type of film this is going to be.
And
so,
it looks like we're out on location somewhere. I mean, it looks like we tried rather than just gone to the park and found some trees with some background, which I've done. I'm not opposed to it.
Hey, they what is it for was it Friday the 13th part 5? They just shot Corey Feldman in somebody's backyard.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever works, whatever you can get. So
yes.
So I want to show, because we showed Sasquatch, so I want to take a look at the witch, because the witch looked really cool too. That's Jim Henson-ish. I mean, that is right from like Labyrinth or Dark Crystal. That is
the references. My inspiration for this character is a mix between Blix and Meg Mucklebones from Legend. So
oh, I could totally see that. Okay.
Yeah, like if Meg and Blix had a child, that would be our clone. But that's my wife Lola, and she never looked better. No, she did.
That's
she did a
before
fantastic
makeup.
job.
Yeah, that's so on top of everything else that she does. But was she okay with playing this role too, with all the makeup?
Yeah, I always try to shoehorn her into my movies, and she doesn't ever want to act. She never has lines, never has dialogue in the movies ever until this. But because she's in the makeup, she was way more comfortable with the dialogue. And she's done a witch character for me in the haunted house before. But this witch, this is maybe one of my favorite creature makeups ever. I love this. It's a 2-piece prosthetic, so the face is separate from the brow and the cowl. And I mean, she took it like a champ. That's not comfortable. She's got a full sclero contact lens. She was drooling blood and goo out of her mouth. I mean, she really took this like a champion. And she absolutely hated. There's a part where the cast is talking amongst each other, and without you ever seeing it or knowing it, almost no reason to have her, she's descending from her house down the mountain on the side of the frame. And almost nobody will see it upon their first watch. And she hated that because she couldn't see anything and couldn't walk. And like and she has a sheer screen over her face at that time, like a piece of netting. She hated it and was very, very unhappy that day. But it works for me. I don't know if you've ever seen House on Haunted Hill, the original. But
many times. Yeah.
There's a portion where this like witchy lady just comes out of the shadow. And also in Rocky Horror Picture Show, Magenta's there the whole time, but when she sits up to reveal herself, it's like she's there, but you don't see her, and that's really what that walking down the hill was. And then she just pops out of nowhere and she's like, I know.
I'll have to go back and rewatch because I didn't notice her coming down.
No, you won't notice her. I saw it on the big screen and it's all I see is her coming down that hill. And I was just like, yeah, there it is. Nobody saw it.
So because the actors are here and she's way back there, I can only imagine her going, God damn it, son of a bitch.
She's like, I'm not even on frame. Nobody even knows I'm here. And then half of the shot, I only got one take out of it, but part of it, she walked out of frame and she comes back in, which is the magic. And she's like, I'm not even on frame. Why am I doing this? And I was like, please just do this for me. It was one of those things. Sometimes I get stuck on something I have to have for me, not for anybody else.
So let's talk about the dialogue, the speech, the kind of, I guess, what would it be like, Old English or French?
Yeah.
What was the, instead of just having them talk like this, trying to add some sort of realism to it to make it more authentic? What
So when
challenges or
I insist when I make a feature film, part of my process is to do a cast read through. I get everybody in the same room, and we all read the script, and I watch them and I hear them, and I'm making mental notes. You know, this is a party atmosphere. I'll provide, you know, appetizers, food, drinks, and usually not alcohol, but I would prefer everybody to just be clear-minded, and I just watch them. I don't tell them to act the script. I just want to do a read through, and I want to hear it, how it sounds, and then I'll make my changes before we shoot. So when we did the cast read through, everybody came with a Johnny accent, and I said, no, please, let's curb all of the accent. I'd rather not have an accent, but let the words be old timey. So like she wrote the script with little hints of dialogue that are phrased like that, specifically for Robbie's character, Robert. Robert speaks very upper echelon, you know, and same thing with Greg's character. He'll have that a little bit, but I didn't want them to use voices. I just want them to let the words do it, except for Jason Wallace. He had to be a full-blown French accent. And I said, it's okay if you stumble on the words and we can't understand you because you're French. Like, that's okay. He was so nervous about, and he came to that read-through full-blown French. And it was awesome. It was so cool that he took it that seriously. And everybody, though, I remember tone it down. No accent. Don't sound stupid. Just use the words. Let the words ring out if they are. I'm trying to think of an example of like even using the full name like Gregory instead of Greg, you know. But yeah.
So you're saying like tone it down? Was that also while you were filming that every once in a while they get into the hello governor and then you'd be like no,
they had it pretty locked in. By the time we shot, I felt like it was pretty close to perfect. AJ's character, William, he it was tough because he's our comic relief a little bit. Originally written for Waleed, and that's why AJ's character William wears a wig, because Waleed is bald, and at points his wig was supposed to fall off. But Waleed had a sickness. He's not in this picture.
Oh, that one character? Okay, let's see. Maybe I can find it.
He's got a white shirt, curly black hair, and
I don't think I have a picture, but
you might not have a picture of him. That guy.
That's him. That's Wally. That's the closest I could get.
That's him out of costume, out of makeup. That's AJ. And he was concerned. I could tell while we're shooting if his wig looked dumb. It's supposed to look dumb. Like, I know I try to really make it so I don't make horror comedies. But I make funny horror movies. You know what I mean? And maybe I need to. I'll never tell. My friend Mike Lanzini, who runs the Sin City Horror Fest, he came to me after watching this, and he said, "You really need to put your camp in the trailers. You sell these movies as such serious movies, but there's always so much humor in it. We need to know there's a guy with a bad wig and a witch in this movie before we watch it, because that's what is fun. That's so fun." And his eyebrows acting and his bumbling with, you know, getting frustrated, it all had a chance to get real over the top and dumb if he was talking like a Monty Python character. You know what I mean? So I tried to keep it as serious as possible. And this is his first feature film, and he knocked it out of the park. He was so funny. But AJ was cast late in the game because it was supposed to be Waleed. Waleed had a health scare. I didn't know AJ, but I knew that he wanted to be involved in our world. And I'd seen him perform. He's in a band called Wyatt and the Ashes. He's really good on stage. I just kind of took a you know, hey, I hope this guy's cool. I hope he's up for playing with us. And he came out in the woods, camped there the whole time. We had so much fun, man, and got to know each other. And he's part of the gang and was just awesome. But I know, like, when you're shooting somebody who feels so silly, they're wearing stockings and a wig, and they're not the cool guy that they normally are. As a director, it's my job to make sure he knows how cool it looks. How this is awesome. This is gold. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you. You know what I mean? And I made him run up this hill, like this mountain, for a drone shot, like 6 times. And this dude was winded, and since the filming of the movie, he's lost a lot of weight, and I contribute to running up the hills. But it was.
He can thank you for being his exercise manager.
You're welcome. I got your heart rate going. You're welcome. No, but he was fantastic, and I love the goofiness of this guy who's just so frustrated by this pompous asshole, and it does just nothing to do about it. Like, there's nowhere to. He's the voice of reason, right? Like, he's the one. We'll go in the morning. We'll pack up, and then he's the one that's like, we should just sleep we can't see anything. Like, what are we doing? And he just keeps getting his nerves pushed until he's dead.
Well, that's why I keep showing this picture, because everybody's in it, or almost everybody. But yeah, the guy there holding the rifle is
Robbie.
It's massive ego.
100% huge ego, and he's out to get the girl, and he's out to prove his his masculinity. And we're talking about the guy that's all in white with the dark hair. That's Robbie, and plays Robert. The role was written for him, and he was perfect for it. It was he's also very new to this world. You know, Ashley is his real life fiance, so he got drafted just because I like him and I think he's a character, you know. And then Greg over there on the left is a pretty well-known magician here in Vegas. His stage name is the Shocker, and Shocker is he has a show called Late Night Magic that is here in Vegas on Saturday nights. He's also he's world renowned, and just awesome. And he looked the part. I cast him because 2 reasons. I already had a fake animatronic head of him that we used on Penn and Teller Fool Us, and then also he looks like he's from the era, you know.
Well, they're all well cast. I mean, especially Robert over there cracked me up with his yes, the biggest net. I caught the most fish. Did you know I even bought I built my own home, 3 levels all by hand.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
some of that is kind of like Robbie too. Like, he is an outdoorsman. He has an elk on his wall. I talk about this thing. There's an elk with a rack on it, like 6.5 feet wide. And I'm just like, that's the most insane thing I ever saw. He hunted that thing last year. He got that elk. And I can't imagine. I'm not a hunter. I could never do it. But I didn't just shoot an elk. I shot the biggest elk in Nevada. You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, Robert was written for Robbie, and Gregory was written for Greg. Like, those characters were written for them, you know, and around their behaviors.
And well, that's nice that you have them in mind. So that's, instead of just plucking them, out of somewhere and putting them in because it's just, okay, yeah, you can do it. That's fine. Yeah.
And when we did that read through, and I heard Robbie delivering those pompous asshole lines, he is not. He is a very awesome, even-keeled, chill dude. But it was awesome to see him turn it to 11 and just so unlikable. It was great. It was great.
Well, and speaking of turning it to 11, the music. It's interesting that you used that type of music, like a synthesizer, instead of using more strings since it's a period piece. Why was that decided?
So my wife is the composer on 90% of my films, I don't really give her any kind of direction. She is that's her passion and her goal. It's also the greenest area of her career. I mean, she's composed maybe 4 films, 5 films now, maybe more. I don't know, but that's not just all a bunch of randomness. She sat here. She bought a special keyboard that you can assign different instruments to, and she just that's what she saw when she watched the movie, and she knows she's really good with storytelling. So I feel like the music helps the storytelling. Yeah, I just let her have that. I couldn't tell you how it's made or what she did.
Okay. And do you know if Lola, have you been around her while she's writing, composing, anything, like how her thought process works?
I've been in the room, and to watch her is pretty awesome. Like she'll put a scene on like a rapid playback. So it's just going and coming and going and coming, and she'll just kind of feel it, and she's just doing her thing. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. The one that I was most involved with composing wise, on the After Dark, I had Waleed and Ryan lay in some electric guitar, and while she had composed all the music on the piano and stuff and done what she needed to do, but we needed the guitar, so I kind of watched her and I together directed them through, like, we need this scene driving, so this needs to pick up, or this needs to be fun, so add like a ska riff to it or whatever. And it was cool to do it that time, but usually it's just her in a room and I don't even see it. She works best just kind of like feeling it out and doing it.
Do you, as the director, say, I like this, but it doesn't exactly work? Can you pump it up a little bit or take it down? Or do you just
Yeah. I will, if there's something that I'm like, oh, we're missing, this is not what I felt here. A lot of times I'll find a piece of music and say a little bit more like Apocalypto here. Like, we need to pick up that pace when they're running. Like Apocalypto, I don't know if you've seen it, but it has like an awesome score for like this driving in the woods feel. And I'll grab something like that. So I can debate but I really throw my hands up because I don't know enough about music to explain what I'm looking for. Like, I had a thing on Teddy Told Me To. John Mazzari, who composed Killer Clowns from Outer Space, composed all of Teddy Told Me To. And during the auditions scene in that movie, I was not stoked on the music. And I went to him and he defended his, point of view. I was like, I understand, but like, it's not my point of view, And he ended up changing it. I really liked where it went, but I'm sure that he was right on one level, but for my project, it was not right. Me and Lola, we're in sync. Like, I love her art, so usually if she comes up with something, I'm happy with it. But if I'm not, I'll tell her, and that's where I can burn her out a lot too, though, because I can be real picky about things. I get really picky about any kind of visual effects that she does, so I try to let her have the music.
Yeah, music is very important to a film, I think, music, editing. And I remember I did get into an argument with Robert Conway on AXEMAS 2 with a few things where he's like, no, I think it should go this way. And I'm like, no, I have like thousands of soundtracks. I've been listening to soundtracks since I was 10 years old. And just, regular music. It's like, I like to think I know a little something, I wouldn't be able to do it myself, but I know what a good soundtrack sounds like, and this isn't working for me. And he did change it reluctantly, but if it's not working, it's not working.
Well, it's hard because most artists have an ego, right? And like, the other hard part with her scoring these movies is she wants 3 months to score a movie. She don't ever have that, but if I could give it to her, I would, but our movies just don't work like that. So we never have that time. So I really can't complain, because writing music is like making a sculpture. If it's not right, it takes a lot to make it, find it, and you got to feel it. And it helps when I've noticed that she'll score more of the stuff that she wrote the script for, you know. Although Las Vegas Frankenstein, she did the score on that. She did not write that script. She touched it up a little bit, but she was one of the writers. But yeah, I don't know. There's she's really found a passion. You know, she went to USC Film School to be a director, but I think if she could do it again, she would have gone there to be a composer.
And that's, I don't, you know, a director is, and a writer is just like, you could just throw a rock and hit one. But for a composer, I think it's harder. So it would be, she would be more in demand, maybe as a.
She also, in her class, or one of her surrounding classmates at USC, was Bear McCreary, who went on to be a very famous composer.
Oh yeah, I love his stuff. So yeah, I have a bunch of it. So yeah, Walking Dead and many things. So yeah. Do you consider this film to be folk horror?
Yes.
Okay. Could you call it anything else?
A period piece Sasquatch film.
I actually like that better. So
I don't know. I just think that it's a Plan 10 movie, man. I just take my ideas, throw them at the wall, and it was funny in the opening. You're like, this doesn't feel like a Plan 10 movie, but I really feel like it does. Mostly because it's all the same cast members, for the most part. There's a couple new bloods in there, and then it's also, you know, a lot of walking. You know what it's missing is this is my first film with no nudity.
A naked Sasquatch would have been great.
Yeah, could have done some Sasquatch boobies, maybe in the sequel.
Or
I tried to get the witch. I tried to get the witch naked, but she didn't want to do it.
Forget that then. Yeah, you just need to have some woman who maybe was outside as like a prostitute or something, like pouring a bucket of water over her because she just had sex, you know, and that's
of course.
You know, that would have been $0, but we got, you know, boobies. So that's all that counts. I'm not going to say what turns into a tree, but how is this effect done? Because it is really cool, and I remember everybody talking about it.
So I stepped into the dark side on this one a little bit. There's a lot of practical. So I built the tree and the character, obviously. And we had tried to work visual effects into doing like a Buffy morph, like when Buffy would morph into her vampire self. And so with sound design, the sound design is huge in that. But I ended up, I'm not ashamed to say it, but I ended up drafting the help from ChatGTP.
You're the reason. You're the reason.
I used 3 8-second shots from that my buddy Chris made me that did exactly what I asked it to do. And between that, Lola using visual effects between the two items and some sound design, we used a little bit of our new tool in the industry called ChatGTP.
I love that. I love Chat.
I actually don't know if it was ChatGTP or something else called. I don't know what it was called. I don't do it, but my friend helped me. The thing is Chris, who played the monster, actually did that part, those pieces. The thing that I can say, not in my defense, I felt really remorseful about doing this at first because I'm the guy that owns the Monster Museum that screams from the top of his lungs about practical effects. But what I'm not screaming about is innovation and stepping forward to a new time. So when I used that tool, I felt bad. And I was talking to my buddy Mike, and he told me something that I'll never forget. And I think I could change most people's impression about AI.
Okay.
Do you consider photography art?
Yes.
Most people would, right? So before this magic box that takes pictures came around, there was Renaissance painters whose career was to paint a portrait of your family, to paint your house, to paint your dog, to paint the king and the queen. And then this box comes and you press a button and the picture's there. And all these painters are like, it's evil, it's demonic, you're taking my job. But now we look at photography as an art. It's something. Yes, is it easier than painting a portrait of a family of 12? Or they're caught, you know, the hunter that just got a deer and they're all standing around it. And then you have to paint that from memory or make them stand there for hours while you sketch it and then let them go and then paint it. But now we could just take a picture. That's not much different than, yes, could I have built a contraption like American Werewolf in London where that tree branch came from the hand and broke out how it needed to? I could do that, and it would take me a lot of money and a lot of effort to make just that one shot, the hand. Or I could draft John Lachago to do that digitally for me, and I could show him a picture of my tree and my hand, and he could do that. It would cost me three grand, and it would take 3 weeks to get that digital effect done, the CGI. Or I can use my phone and do it in 4 seconds and plug it into this movie that I spent 3 grand on. I did it. And I'm proud of it because I think it works and it's a tool. And I no longer look at, I used to look at that. I mean, like the day before I did that, I would have had a fight with you that that's not acceptable. But that camera realization lets me know that we're just looking with innovation. And yes, does it cut practical effects out? 100%. But I've made both those items practically, which is why it worked seamlessly. I didn't let it imagine what the tree looked like. I didn't let it imagine what the monster looked like. I did that. So it just made the movement that I needed it to do in the instances that I needed it to. And then we put my wife sound designed it with the cracks and crumbles and noises, and it sells as a tool where I own a monster museum that is preserving the art and history of practical effects. And as we move into this new world, you know, when CGI came around, I worked on a movie called The Polar Express that we got bombasted for helping the devil. Like, we sculpted, molded, and ran all the prosthetics Tom Hanks wore for all the different characters he plays in Polar Express. They motion captured him and made him in a computer. They sold it as a digital version of Tom Hanks. We were attacked that we were helping the enemy. You know, makeup effects is going to be extinct. It's all going to be in computers. Well, it was just a tool, you know, and those visual effects people are now losing their minds over AI because it's taking their job away the way they took my job away. It's just another evolution of filmmaking. And it could be done terribly, just like the visual effects in the Asylum movies are terrible. But Scott Wheeler should be ashamed of himself. He's so much better than what he did when I was working with, I think they call it Tiny Juggernaut is his company, his visual effects company. He made terrible renditions of my beautiful artwork. You know, it was awful. And but then you see what Peter Jackson was doing with some CGI that was beautiful with King Kong. I mean, so beautiful. So AI can be useful, and I used it, and I'm proud of it.
Well, you can also, even though you have your museum, which is practical, you could just make a picture and hang it up and just be, this is something that we created, and this is how we recreated it. And it wasn't just all one thing. It was a combination of a group of people that still worked on it. We may not have a physical of it, but we do have this picture of what we did. And just explain it like you did, you know, to me.
I will not put AI or CGI in the Monster Museum because it's what it stands for. I do have a T-1000 prop in the Monster Museum to educate people. T-1000 was not just CGI. He was puppet heads that Stan Winston made, you know, and that's important to me. But I will not put just CGI or AI in the Monster Museum. But in the Alien Museum I own, I'll put it all over the place. Like, no holds barred. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think that it's a bad thing at all, because just as an example for today, so I have my list that I've been using for years for one filmmaker. Then I sit down and I watch the movie and I take all my notes. But now with, with chat, I have, and I know you can't see it, but I wrote in here interview questions for Tom Devlin about his Bigfoot film, Bloody Bluff. Bloody Bluff. And it gave me, I mean, it just, this is what you can ask. Here's questions about Bigfoot. Here's all this. I have only used this, my handwritten notes, but this is here if I need it.
Yeah.
Chat is there if I need it. And it's not necessary. I'm not going like, oh my God, I don't have anything I can ask Tom. Oh my God, I better just ask chat. No, it's just it's a means.
It's a
That's
tool.
all it is. Yeah.
It's a tool.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this up in a second, but I just wanted to share a couple other things just to kind of show where this movie is or has been. Like, you've already had it in film festivals. So you closed your the Outpost 51.
Yeah, we were part of the Sin City Horror Fest. We actually got an award for it.
Oh, nice.
That was, it was a blast, man. We had a packed house, and it was a great time, great premiere, and just one of those things, It's like that's the payoff for me, is having these movies play in front of people and get to see everybody enjoy them,
Yeah, and I got, then there was, I think this is for also.
Yeah.
That's a little more detailed, where you can scan the QR code and stuff. And, and of course, when people are in Boulder City, they can always come out and see your museum. So, I mean,
and we sell physical copies of all our movies there. Bloody Bluff's not out on Blu-ray yet, but it will be soon. And then, and we're hoping for a release on Tubi is our goal. We're trying to get there.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely want to get a copy of this. And one thing I've found online, and this is something I must have, you have a coffee mug.
I got a lot of them. This is my alien one.
Ooh, I want that one too. So next time I'm out there, I'll have to, to pick up.
Oh, I got this one too. This is another Monster Museum one.
Oh, that's sweet looking.
Yeah.
So you got lots of stuff out there for people to do and for people to buy. And so, and I'm going to leave this up here so you can, so there we go. So tell people, and then I'll let you go. Where can they see your films? Where's the museum? What's coming up? What's going on? So
you kind of sounded like Sean from Hot Ones there. So this camera, that camera, this camera. So all of our movies you can keep up on plan10pictures.com. We have Instagram pages. We have for Monster Museum and Plan 10. We sell all of our product in the Monster Museum physical. Usually somebody working there is somehow involved with the movie, and they'll be happy to sign it for you. And then we get most of our movies out on Tubi, Amazon, those kind of places. Distribution's getting a little tougher, and I'm on a year-long battle to crack the code on distribution. So I have been posting daily journals on YouTube, and along that path, I will be hopefully 365 days live, where I crack the code on distribution, as well as work on both museums and the haunted attraction.
Okay, sweet. Okay, because then we'll show this, because that's what we're talking about. All right, so thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, and going into detail on Bloody Bluff. I look forward to my post-apocalyptic sequel at some point.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love that. Well, all we have to do is describe that that's where it was the whole time. I think that's great.
Yeah, you just put a little title at the beginning of it, that this is
with a voiceover. Do a cool voiceover and just like, yeah.
Well, you get that Roger Corman atomic bomb explosion that's from the desert that he uses in all of his movies, and then 500 years from now, then you get you get Steve Steve Hansen to,
Yeah.
to do, because he's got that voice to,
course.
you know, in the future. And then, you know,
Perfect.
Buddy Bluff, 33,000. So, all right, man. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. And is there anything else, or should I let you go?
No, we're good.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next One Filmmaker, One Film. Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye.